Hi, this is Attila, and this is a video guide for the 12 Panzer, and this is a battle group that I created for this division, and I will explain to you the rationale for it. So no gameplay in this; the gameplay will come later. And let's go with the rationale. So the Panzer division is, of course, focused on tank, and for being so, it's a bit tricky because you have less availability of units, and that force you to make some choice. So let's try with the recon phase. All my recons are available in phase A, and I use first of all, usually I deploy the Alpha Clyrer? Anyway, well, so this is a recon unit of 2 men, so it's stealthy, you can sneak them around, and the vehicle for it has an armor-piercing autocannon. So it can be very effective at suppressing the enemy infantry early on. It's kind of useful for blocking an enemy rush or take a position very quickly because this vehicle can go at 88 km an hour on the road, which is pretty good. Then you have the SPA troop, and this is a bit of an heavier recon. This one has actually a machine gun, which make them okay to fight infantry, but of course it's better to remain stealthy. They have an half track, so that's practical. You have two machine gun, one in the front, one in the rear. So this is a useful unit to bring later on, I guess, to suppress the enemy infantry. Infantry wise, I use the Panzergrenadier Führer, and this thing has 2 stars, so they boost up the experience level of your troops, and they also bring a vehicle which is kind of fast. Then I bring a Panzergrenadier, 3 group of them, all in phase A, because that will be your main fighting infantry, and you will support them with your tank. Actually bring 1 group of them with an open blitz and an open blitz. This is a useful truck because it's fast on the road. Early on, you'll be able to capture building quickly with this, so that's why I'm using this. It's also less expensive, so you can focus your points on tank, and that gives you grenadier. Then beyond that first phase of spawning and capturing early on. After that, I'm bringing Grenadier with the nav track, so that complete the support, well, the suppression effect, and you have some armored vehicle to suppress the enemy. So that's why. But first, you bring the Opel version for speed, and secondly, you bring those half track to suppress. Then I bring some Sturm Pioneer, a bit of a specialized unit for phase B. And they have flamethrowers, so that makes them effective if you're facing enemies in a wood or in a town. You can use them to move forward and precede the movement of your tank. Now, in case you're on a defensive stance, you will defend with the MG42. You can also use that to push forward, but at the same time, you might already have all those AFTRAC doing the job. So it's mostly a defensive purpose here. Then additional Pioneer Führer, and this is mostly to potentially bring them for support asset like artillery or anti-air to boost them. So that's also this version brings an AFTRAC which has a cannon. This is not to be neglected, so that's why I'm bringing that also. Okay, so tank-wise, I'm bringing the BEF Panzer 3C. This is not a particularly powerful tank, but it's actually pretty annoying to face because that can suppress your infantry or whatever, and it's a command vehicle in this case, so that boosts a little the morale of your troops nearby. It's a good combo with the Firefly because the Firefly doesn't have any thing to suppress enemy anti-tank, while that Panzer 3 does. You have 9 HE power. Then I also bring the Firefly because For this Panzer division, this is a must-have. This is the strongest tank you can have in Phase A as far as we know so far. Then here, this is pretty optional. I bring a Panzer 4 G, or you can use the H version. It doesn't really matter. In this case, when you look at the stats, you have 8 frontal armor here. While here you have still 8 frontal armor, but 4 on the side. So that costs more, but it doesn't give you much more. So as a result, you might be saving points by using these instead. Also, I'm bringing them for Phase B because ultimately, if I want to make a big push on Phase B, this is a practical unit to have in number, and you can overwhelm the enemy tank. They have very good armor piercing, also 14. Then I bring a Panzer 4H, which is a very powerful tank, similar to the previous one. It's just that it has more armor on the side, and the main feature of this one is that this is a command unit, so you have 2 star of experience, which make them more effective, and also it makes other tank effective around them. Then I bring the Panzer D, and this is for Phase B still. So if you want to start pushing the enemy back, this is the tank you need. So 12 frontal armor and 18 AP power, anti-tank armor piercing power. That's really powerful. Now there is a reason why I'm not bringing in the Panzer, well, the other Panthers from Phase C. It's mainly because from my experience, Phase C is really short, and bringing those tank take a while. So by the time you bring these Panther, it's kind of too late already. So it's better to bring the Panther from Phase B, and the other ones you can bring them if you want. It's like you can change one of these for, let's say, one of these, or actually this one even has more armor. But it's like that's just come too late in the fight, to my opinion. It's still a powerful tank, but I rather have my Panther coming on Phase B. Okay, support. That's this vehicle right here. It has a cannon, very useful to suppress enemy infantry or anti-tank. You have an HE of 9 with a fire of 6. It's a bit weak as an armored vehicle, but it's kind of still useful to have such a tank. Otherwise, if you don't like it, you can bring a Cromwell, which has a bit more of a frontal armor. It's also a bit more powerful, but even has more range here. This this is a practical unit. Actually, let's use this. And yeah, that is it. So here, anti-tank, I bring one Pack 38 for the Phase A because this is a practical thing to have some anti-tank, but the thing is that with this deck you'll be constantly suppressed by air, and you don't have that much anti-air capacity. So bringing 2 is reasonable and it will do the job early on, but you don't really expect them to do that much work. You will much more rely on your Firefly. Phase B, I bring Jag Panzer 4 and 2 of them. They have a lot of experience. 14 frontal armor, that's really powerful. This makes you resistant to most tank of Phase A and B, and potentially C sometimes. I think Wolverine is 13, so yeah, you have a very strong front armor. A bit vulnerable to planes, but nonetheless, this tank can take out an entire army. Okay, anti-air wise, I'm using the Flak 36 only on Phase B because Phase A, it's like sure you can bring this one, but it's not that effective at killing anything or chasing away anything. It's this one will be better to suppress ground forces. So and the Flak 38, it's not. It's even well. It's similarly bad. So I end up just waiting for Phase B where I bring those Flak 36 37 millimeter. Then I bring the Veerbell of Wind, which has a fast rate of fire, good range, good HE, pretty much the killing unit. Then Mobile Wagon for phase C again. This has a good range, chase the enemy away, make them panic. And 2 flag gun. I think this is really important because these are really good against air, but also good against tank. Yeah, they have 16 AP power. So with these, you are able to keep the allies plane away from your tank. Really long range, by the way. Okay, artillery-wise, I use the Panzergrenadier. This is a really good unit to suppress the enemy on phase B, and I'm mostly waiting for phase C for bringing real support there. So Hummel, they have 2.8 range, 2.8 kilometer range, so really powerful unit. And I'm also bringing some B-up Panzer 4H. These, first of all, they count like a normal tank, but a normal tank that has that field artillery, off-map artillery, which is really powerful. So very good to complement the push-off tank, let's say. In terms of Air Force, sure, you can go with fighters if you feel like it, but in my case, because I mostly play 10 versus 10, I don't rely that much on fighters, and I use those FW190 G3 to bomb the enemy anti-tank and infantry. So this is why I'm relying much on these, and also these are really fast. So you can get in and get out of a situation very quickly with those bombers. I don't use rockets because German rockets end up rarely killing the target. That's at least my experience with them. I guess I could use this, but I will leave the Air Force to your taste because it's clear that if you expect a lot of fighters ahead of you, having the fighter version of the BF 109 might be a useful thing. But in my case, I rather have bombers. Actually, here is this. There's the version. Well, this one has a bigger bomb, but I think relying on number of bomb might be more useful. Or I don't know. Let's see. Now, let's try this. Let's put the one with more bombs. And that is it for this division. I modified it a little just for you. And I'll give you the code below, and I'll also make a demonstration video how I use this for the Steam guide, which I recommend you to like.